Michael Patrick Leahy with us. Michael Patrick, it's so good to have you here live in our studio at the Marriott Hotel here. I don't know where we are, Davidson. No, we're in Williamson County.
We're in Williamson County.
So I got to tell the story last night. So Michael picks me up for dinner. We have to sneak out of Davidson County. He said to me, we're leaving Davidson County to go to dinner. Put your head down. Maybe I'll put you in a back seat and put a blanket over you. We snuck out of Davidson County. It's like, as soon as we get over the county line, it's like, we're free! And then we go to dinner after I got to shake Rachel's hand, which was, it was just like I shook a human being's hand. So then we go to dinner at Stony River, your favorite place.
Favorite place.
And they take your temperature and everything. And then we had this great dinner. And I felt like it was my first day out of jail.
I told you the coffee cured filet mignon was delicious.
It was unbelievable. Coffee cured, and thank you for that.
It was so much fun, and the wait staff was very nice. They had their stylish masks on.
We now have stylish masks, and they all matched. They were matching masks.
Yes, color coordinated, all wore black masks.
They were nice looking. Actually, the best masks that I've seen.
Yeah.
So they had to wear the mask, but we were laughing because, they're the government edict. They can only seat every other table, which is so stupid because like the table behind us and around us was empty, the big thing on it, nobody sit here. But it was divided. There was a divider there, so it was like if 6 people came in and sat at that table, Michael. In order for us to get close to them, I would have had to have jumped in somebody's lap. It's so stupid.
Yeah, not the brightest thing. By the way, yesterday here in Nashville, Davidson County, Mayor John Cooper announced that on Monday they will be beginning to open up in Phase 1 in Nashville, Davidson County. Restaurants in Nashville, Davidson County will be able to open and have 50% occupancy. That's a good thing. It's better than a bad thing. But I'm with you. This whole 50% occupancy thing doesn't make any sense. Do 100% and give the restaurants an opportunity to make money because they're going to lose money at 50% occupancy. They need to have tables turning. Need to be 75%. Restaurant people would know, but there's got to be a high level of occupancy to make money. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think they should be open. Stony River last night. We go to dinner. It's 50% occupancy. Every other table empty, and it was really. It's almost now where this is becoming really silly. It's really silly.
Almost becoming really silly?
It's just, it's silly. The whole thing. We just need to stop this nonsense. And there needs to be, we were talking earlier, Michael, I want to get your thoughts on this, that there really needs to be a political reckoning.
Yes.
Will there be one, is my question.
A legal reckoning, I think.
Like the Tea Party in 2010.
Well, let's talk about the legal thing first. My view has been these executive orders issued by governors that told certain businesses to shut down and allowed other businesses to open up are unconstitutional because they apply the law differently to different people. And they're going to see all sorts of lawsuits. And I think the courts are ultimately going to determine that the governors who issue these mandatory orders, not recommendations, that they're going to have liability to the restaurants and all sorts of folks that have been shut down while a Walmart, for instance, or a Kroger's is open, and a little pawn shop is shut down, restaurants are shut down. There's no good scientific reason to distinguish between those businesses. Mm-hmm. So that's the first reckoning. The second reckoning, I think, you're quite right, is going to be a political reckoning. These things have iconic moments. And there was an iconic moment in Dallas, Texas. And that's when this woman, Shelley Luther, who opened her hair salon, she had 18 stylists who work with her, and they weren't able to make any money. And the Dallas County commissioner in charge of it kept pushing out the opening day, pushing it out. And they were losing their houses. They weren't able to feed their kids. And she said, I'm opening up. And the authoritarian left-wing judge, Eric Moye, that put her in jail said, well, you've got to apologize to me for being selfish or I'll put you in jail. I was checking the Constitution the other day, John, and I didn't see anywhere in the Constitution where it said it's unconstitutional to be selfish. So he put her in jail for 2 days. Now she's out now. He made a martyr of her. She's a very likable person. I think one of the consequences of that is the pushback is going to be Texas is not going to go for the Democratic nominee. It's going to go for Donald Trump. And you're seeing that in Michigan, right? The big battleground state, only won by like 10,000 votes last time. But it's got this dictatorial governor, Gretchen Whitmer. She's telling people they can't go to their lake houses. They can't do this. They can't do that. You can't buy a baby's car seat. And she's gave a contact tracing contract to a political hack firm. No healthcare experience. Now she's resisting her promise that she made. She's breaking it to be transparent and provide documents as to how that came about. That was a crooked deal. People in Michigan are getting sick and tired of it. And so I think this is happening all over the country.
So you think it's going to backfire because, our theory is these blue state, swing state governors like Michigan, Whitmer in Michigan, Wolf in Pennsylvania, Cooper in North Carolina, etc., Evers in Wisconsin, that they were going to keep businesses shuttered, tank the economy, destroy small business owners, who is the bane. They're bane anyway. They hate them because they never vote for them. Make them suffer, tank the economy, put people out of work. Don't let them do anything fun. Can't go to the movies. No ball games. No football. All that stuff. In order to then carry the state for Biden. But you're saying that it's now going to backfire.
I think so. If you watched yesterday when Shelley Luther was released from jail, remember the jail that she was put in to a jail where they have a lot of COVID-19 people, and they had released like 1,000 inmates, people who had been convicted of real crimes. When she came out, and she had a bunch of supporters there, her very heartfelt, emotional thank you was, I think, very touching, very compelling. She's such a contrast, a brave person who would not bend the knee to the authoritarian, unconstitutional order issued by an elitist judge. She was so sympathetic. She was so consistent with the American spirit. I think that resonated with people not only in Texas, but around the country. She was then on Sean Hannity last night. Very, very effective communicator. Very likable person, unlike the judge who put her in jail.
Mm-hmm. And so what you're saying is we're going to get that's going to reverberate.
I think so. Now the challenge right now is unemployment numbers came out. They're not good.
No, they're horrible.
So we're up with 16% nationally.
17%.
Okay, so now the challenge is got to turn that around. Got to get back to work, and it's going to take a long time. But the more people that get back to work and start making a living, mostly small businesses, the kind of deplorables,
right.
really.
The deplorables.
The deplorables are the ones that have been hardest hit by
right.
this.
And some of us think that was by design.
Well, whether it was by design or whether they couldn't let this crisis go to waste.
Well, that's what I mean. The virus is real. I mean, COVID-19 is real. People have died from it, and even people that have recovered, that I know, my wife being one of them, it is a nasty virus.
It's tough stuff. Yeah, you don't want to get it.
No, she was in bed for 3 days. I mean,
you do not want to get it.
Just nasty stuff, but you don't want to get it. But they certainly took advantage of it, and it's like, okay, here's an opportunity to really stick it to these deplorables and put this guy in.
Right.
And, basically, hey, it's better than the gulag.
Yeah, and I think Americans really, really don't like that kind of authoritarian, I'm going to tell you what to do attitude.
But the polls don't reflect that.
Well, we talked
Michael.
about this yesterday.
I know, but
Those
that's
polls.
I
looked
the
more.
Poll came out today. Gallup said that
Gallup, give me a break.
67% of Americans want to stay home.
No, that's not true at all. It's the way they frame the question.
Right.
You frame the question, John, would you rather stay home or step out of your house and get hit by lightning and die? If that's the kind of choice that I have on it. Die or stay home? Okay, when you ask a question like that, people will say, "Well, I don't want to die."
Right.
That's how they. I mean, it is a tried and true trick of pollsters. We've seen it all the time, and so that's what's going on with that. Don't pay no attention to that.
So when is one of the other outcomes of this, Michael Patrick Leahy, is that we're allowing governors to plan our economy, tell you how many people can be in your restaurant, how many people can be in your salon, how many people can be in your fertilizer store, how many flower pots you can have. I mean, when is this? When are people going to say what the hell is going on here?
Well, they're saying that already, but let's go back to the long-term play on this. Let's go back to that document that binds us all together, the Constitution. And if you look into the Constitution and you say, are these executive orders constitutional? Well, on what authority are these governors doing it? And it's almost always a law that was passed back in the 1970s, in the Jimmy Carter era. And these are laws that granted broad authorities to the governors in cases of public emergencies. None of those laws have been tested as being constitutional. I promise you, if any of those laws are tested, they will be found ultimately unconstitutional. This is an overreach of power, an abuse of power by governors around the country. And I'm even going to add Republican governors.
Yeah, like Hogan, the DeWine.
Yeah, Hogan and DeWine.
Hogan's a clown.
Yeah, the Hogan and DeWine are basically never-Trumpers, who are trying to undermine the president. Right. There's no question about that.
Right.
DeWine in Ohio is really a Democrat.
Right.
He's aligned with all the Democrats. His public health director, the one who famously said, with no evidence, we already have 100,000 cases of coronavirus. No evidence of that. Mm-hmm. But she said that back in February. She said, well, we have these models. She never showed the models that say on a peak day we're going to have 10,000 new cases. They had like 1,100, and half of them were from prisoners. That day, right? So obvious lies, obvious attempts to usurp the authority of the individual authority of people to determine their own lives, and to force them to bend the knee to their will. People don't like that at all. And I'm more familiar with DeWine than Hogan, but Hogan strikes me as a guy, he's kind of like a bald John Kasich, it seems to me. I don't know if I've got that right, but you would know.
Well, he did go, when he first got elected, he's his second term, he did go through cancer, and so he had the what do you call it, the chemo.
The chemo, yeah.
That's where he lost his hair and everything, and also you put on weight with that, so he put on a lot of weight with it. But look, I mean, he's infuriated, and he's an infuriating governor. He hates Trump, but he's going to run.
Hates Trump.
He's going to run for president in 2024 as the never Trump or whatever. But the guy said yesterday. I mean, I just found this to be stunning, and I've said it on the radio 20 times. You know what? I don't have a date to open Maryland. That's going to be up to me, but. I'm thinking about it, and I'm considering it, and maybe in the next week or so, I might actually give a date. I'll have to think about it, but I am thinking about it. And it's like, oh, thank you, Mr. Governor, sir. Let me kiss your ring and give you a chocolate for maybe allowing me the opportunity to make a living. I mean, what a pompous, arrogant jackass that guy is.
Actually, exercising unconstitutional authority.
That's the thing.
But it will be challenged, right. and he will lose.
I think you're right. And let me tell you something else where I think you're on target. Because the state senator we had on,
Kerry Roberts, great guy.
He said, in our in the governor's edict, it's one paragraph that got inserted years ago, and he said it now we're going to get back there, and this is never going to happen to us again. We're going to pass
in a law in the 1970s,
Yeah.
and he wants to go and change that law, which I applaud him for. And you're going to see state legislatures limiting those powers so that they are actually constitutional and not unconstitutional.
I got a text here from Rufus in Richmond, who's one of my Democrat listeners. He says, John, what about the laws passed by George Bush and the Republicans with the Patriot Act? Come on, John, gee whiz. Okay, Rufus, you know that I have been a one-man gang against the first Patriot Act, son of Patriot Act, grandson of Patriot Act.
The acts that gave us the FISA courts?
Exactly. I was
Abuses
against
of
the FISA
power?
courts. I was the lone Republican. I think it was me, Ron Paul, and maybe one other person who fought the Patriot Act. And I told you on the radio, I told all my listeners exactly back then what was going to happen in 2002 with this Patriot Act, because it's a total abuse of power, and it should be sunsetted and repealed.
It sounds to me like Rufus in Richmond supports individual rights.
That's right, individual rights, Rufus. So at least we're consistent. But I'm telling you, and it's so politicized because the Republican-controlled states are going to rein in the power of the governor, but the Democrat-controlled states are not,
And not at all.
because they
like it.
like
They
authoritarianism.
like the power.
Where did the Democrat Party flip this way? When I grew up in the '60s, like Bob, I'm a little bit older, but I grew up in the '60s. I mean, the Democratic Party, they said if you elect Richard Nixon, we're going to go to fascism.
Let me refer you to Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Delano Roosevelt when it comes to limiting individual rights.
You got that right. Well, we're out of time. I want to thank my good friend, Michael Patrick Lee. You can read him on Breitbart, or if you're in Nashville, you can listen to him if you're not listening to me, which...
That's a tough choice.
Tough choice, but if you're in Nashville. But he's a Titans fan, so we're going to give him a pass. John Fredericks Radio Network.